I'm happy to have you for another interview on Africa 24. Today we'll be receiving Mr. Jeremy Awori. He's the Group CEO of Ecobank. Thank you, sir, for joining us
glad
on
to
the
be here,
sidelines of the
Mildred.
30th afreximbank annual meetings. You followed all the sessions. Can you just tell us how you view the efforts that the bank is putting in to create opportunities for Africans and to build prosperity on the continent?
Yeah. So great to be here today. At the AfriExim meetings we've been holding, firstly it's a celebration of their 30 years, which I think is something in itself. So we've obviously looked at the successes they've had, and it's a time for reflection around what are the things we can do to uplift the continent, to supply more economic prosperity and uplift the lives of our Africans. So we've been talking about things like investment opportunities. What do we need to do to increase trade with the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement? What do we need to do for payments? There's discussions about sustainable finance. So we've been looking at how all these come together and all the financial partners and investors. How do we all make this happen, and how do we do this at scale in the coming decade?
So in the face of crisis, can you tell us how you appreciate the work afreximbank has been doing to build resilience and to make African economies recover?
Yeah, I mean, AfriEximbank has been doing obviously a lot of work around mobilizing capital, which it has, risk-sharing agreements, providing technical expertise across the continent. And that's been evident by a number of the projects that they're looking at. So now the future is, what more can we do, is the question. How do we work to address some of the more challenging environmental issues that are there?
Yeah, I was about touching that part of the question. Can you tell us, as a financial institution, as a CEO of a financial institution, can you tell us what adjustments you think the bank can make to better its mandate as a DFI?
So we're in 35 countries. We're in more countries than any other commercial bank. So what we bring to partners like AfriExim is, if we run a project in, say, 1 or 2 countries and they're successful, then what we can do is we can actually now roll out some of those projects in many other markets without making the same learnings over and over again. So that's an advantage that we bring as a partner. One of the things we are doing with AfriExim is participating in the PAPS project, which is the Pan-African Payment Settlement System. We are actually their partner to go into many markets because we can do real-time payments across Ecobank today. Whether it's Togo to Ghana, Ghana to Sao Tome, Sao Tome back to Kenya, we can do it today. So they're using our platform, and that will help the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement because people need to be paid. And we can do that in local currency, which avoids people having to go and buy dollars and then send those dollars across, which takes 2 to 3 days. So those are the kinds of things we are working with AfriExim to try and see how do we accelerate and take out to more countries.
How do you view the role of DFIs, development finance institutions, in building prosperity for Africans?
Yeah, I think we all have our respective roles to play. I think the DFIs are coming in and they're providing things like guarantees. They're looking at how they can raise lower cost capital, how we can risk share, especially in areas of infrastructure financing, because those are very difficult areas because they are long-term financing. They need the price of that financing to be as low as possible to make sure that they're actually feasible, because these are projects which governments need to make sure their economies grow. So DFIs can come in, private sector can also come in, like banks like ourselves, and then the governments themselves can mobilize their own savings to fund the infrastructure gap. What they also do is they also shine the light on things like Africa Continental Free Trade, which is another area. How do we trade more with one another? And I think that's a key role that they're doing. Again, risk sharing in certain cases, like agriculture. How do we increase productivity? How do we bring technology and automation to make farmers more effective? So there's risk-sharing mechanisms that they also bring, insurance schemes that they bring that make banks more comfortable to give out financing, especially on debt financing. And then lastly, they provide equity financing to certain projects which need it. And then that allows debt financing to be layered on top. And I think that's a key role that they're providing.
You took office as Chief Executive Officer, you rightly said, in March 2023. So tell us, what are some of the gaps you've identified as a finance man, as I can say? What are some of the gaps you've identified in the Ecobank Group that you wish to bridge, and how do you intend doing this?
Yeah, I think more about that there are more opportunities than anything else. I've talked about some of them, like agriculture. I think there's a big opportunity around SME, because the SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises, typically drive a lot of the employment across the continent. There's challenges for SMEs to get financing, whether it's equity financing or debt financing. There's challenges around capability. How do we build skills? So that's an area of opportunity. One of the areas that I'm particularly focused with my team is around gender financing. How do we support women who are running businesses? And the African continent has 1 in 4 women are running a business. We have the highest number of women per capita doing business in the world. So the question is are they getting access to financing, the right type of financing? Are we helping them with their skills to be more successful in the businesses that they have? When they grow their businesses, we want to be their partner to take their business across the continent. So again, now it moves from starting a business in one country to trading across countries, and we can help them with that.
Can you just elaborate more on how you intend helping women and youth and SMEs to access finance? Can you just elaborate more?
So we've got a product, what we call Elevate, and that the Elevate system, let's say you're a woman entrepreneur running your business. We come with technical skill building and enhancing. So there's particular training programs that exist. We also we've partnered with DFIs to get lower cost capital, so you can get advantages in terms of the pricing of your facilities and the types of your facilities. Then, as I said, there's the trade element, which we're looking at. How do we help you as a woman run or employing many women to take your business internationally? And then personally, one of the things I'm looking to implement is how can we have a greater percentage of our suppliers as Ecobank across the 35 markets being women-run businesses. And that requires a very specific, conscious approach to actually implement that across the continent.
What is your vision for getting the African diaspora involved in the economic development of the continent?
That's a very important area that we see, because in many of our countries, a lot of money and foreign exchange comes from Africans in the diaspora. So what do? We have got this great payments engine. We have a single gateway that you can make payments across the continent. We've got a lot of partners across the world where we actually can receive the money from wherever they are. For example, about a week or two ago, we launched a partnership with Dashan Bank in Ethiopia, where basically we use our rapid transfer app. Anyone in Europe can transfer money from Europe through that app into Ethiopia, and that's real time. So that's an area where we're trying to assist, but I see a lot more opportunities for us to do more business and to build that remittance business, and then also create opportunities where people in the diaspora can invest in businesses or investment opportunities within the continent.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for answering our questions. Thank you for being present with us today.
Thank you.
And that was it for this interview. Thank you for watching. We have more programs coming up on Africa 24.